All right. Good morning, everybody, and happy Friday. So I'm on Zoom through Facebook today on the video because I think Zoom is a better camera and it's not so zoomed in, so it's better. So I want to talk today, I want to give you today 7 tips to stop counting calories. And I want to start off with a question. I usually start off with a question. Who do you think is really in control? So when we count calories, we think that we're in control, and it's actually an attempt at control. So if you're a slave to MyFitnessPal or any other calorie counting app, because I know there's a lot more that have surfaced recently, you can't eat anything unless you've logged it first, or before every meal, you're sat there like working out the calories, or after every meal, you're sat working out the calories, and you're constantly assessing how many you've had, how many you've got left for the day. And then if you've not got enough for the day, you go back into MyFitnessPal, for example, and then try and swap the banana muffin. This is an example. The banana muffin that you logged as 124 calories, it's like the banana muffin that you logged as like 240 calories. You're trying to like see if there's another banana muffin that you can log for like 120 calories. And I say this with humor because I have been there. I totally used to like put in, I don't know, hamburger or cheeseburger, and then the amount of different things that would come up, it would range from like 400 calories to like 800 calories. So I would pick the 400 calorie burger and then feel bad about it and all these things. So what I'm getting at is, oh my gosh, it's just so consuming. And I used to lie in bed at night and like mentally go over what I'd eaten that day and decide if it was acceptable or not, asking myself if I was on track. And then I'd also try and work out how much weight I would lose if I managed to stick to a day like I had that day, how much weight I would lose within a month's time or a few weeks' time or whatever. So I don't know about you, but that kind of scenario, which I know so many women go through and men, and I used to go through it all the time, that's not being in control. That's the MyFitnessPal or the calorie counting app. That's being in control of you. So how does that feel? And also, how has calorie counting been going for you? How has it been going for you? Are you at your goal weight by now? And if so, have you managed to stay at your goal weight for like more than 5 minutes? And again, I say this with light humor because I've been there. And the next point I want to talk about is we don't stick to the calories anyway. This is the whole point, right? Especially if you're watching this, or watching this or listening to this on my podcast, because it's going to be a podcast episode as always. There's no doubt that calorie counting hasn't worked for you, else you'd be fine, everything will be hunky-dory and off you go. So the truth bomb is we don't stick to the calories that we set ourselves anyway. Otherwise, like I say, you wouldn't be listening to this. And I'm so grateful that you are listening to this, by the way. But if you're anything like I used to be, I used to set myself like a ridiculously low calorie target to adhere to each day. Like, for example, I think and this can be triggering, I should put this in the comments before anyone listens actually, but I used to go around 500 to maximum 1200 calories a day. That's not even enough for an infant child to eat, honestly. So then when I didn't stick to the calories, like when I just blew it, I thought, fuck it, excuse my language, and just went to Tesco when I was in England and just bought everything from the chocolate aisle, and then I would start again tomorrow. The problem was I was doing the FitnessPal app, calorie allowance, going over it, thinking sod it, eating everything I could and starting again tomorrow. I was doing that every single week. So at the weekend, or if I'm being honest, it was more like 3-day binges, I would eat so much that if I'd ever even dared to put the calories that I ate on MyFitnessPal for those like 2 or 3 days, it would be my calorie allowance for the whole month anyway. So it doesn't even work that way. And I also used to Google shit like, when you eat 10,000 calories in 1 hour, does your body hang on to the calories? Does it store them or do you pass them? And I literally used to Google shit like that. And I feel sorry for my old self. And I'm not going to tell you the answer to that. Google it, or please don't Google it. You won't get an answer properly anyway. But like, honestly, that used to be my life. So draining. And I'm sure many of you listening or watching this feels the same. And you feel so trapped in this calorie counting world, because otherwise you think you're going to lose complete control all the time. I'm going to give you 7 tips in a minute, but before I do that, I just want to, just talk more about what this means when we're counting our calories and restricting and all the things. During the times that you do stick to your BS calorie allowance, you get like a false sense of achievement. You feel like unstoppable, like weight loss is coming and you can get all excited and you feel like on top of the world. It gives you like a high because you're in control. But then someone brings in freshly made cookies, for example, and then you either spend so much time faffing around with your fitness app trying to make it work so you can have a cookie. Again, going in and logging everything you've logged before and trying to relog them as lower calories, even though we don't even know the calories in food anyway, really. I mean, that's another topic altogether. We know an estimation, but everyone's body reacts to calories different anyway. So eating an apple or a banana for 100 calories my body's going to do something different with it to what your body's going to do with it. So it's just completely pointless. But if someone brings cookies into the office and you're sat stressing, trying to make it work on your calorie counting app, that brings stress and anxiety. Or you just hit your effort button and eat the whole pack of cookies anyway and start again tomorrow. Or you don't have the cookie and you feel a sense of loss and you're kind of longingly looking to the cookies like, can't have them, and you feel like you're missing out and you've got FOMO going on, right? That used to be me all the time. And honestly, there was a time when I genuinely celebrated the fact that I didn't have the cookies or I didn't have everything I wanted. And when I was following meal plans and macros and all these things for the fitness photo shoots that I used to do, I used to like get off on the feeling of being hungry. That used to be something that I strived for each day. And I thought I was really achieving something. And, I'm not dissing anyone who wants to change their body here at all. I believe you absolutely can, but it comes from a place of love and adding healthy things in. And I'm going to go through that in a moment with some of the tips. It comes into that when I talk about that. But, constantly restricting yourself and beating yourself up and dieting doesn't make you feel great. And so when I was ignoring my body, ignoring my hunger, when I just so desperately wanted to eat something, I was achieving something, because what I was achieving was ignoring my body. I was achieving looking outside of myself for the answers of what to eat and when, instead of taking a look within. I was ignoring my cravings and I was not honoring the most ancient wisdom thing in the whole entire world, which is the human body. I wasn't honoring my human body. Okay, I'm going to check any comments in a moment, guys. I'm on a roll, so please bear with. And what also happens is when we, go on a diet, count calories, and then we ultimately fail, we lose so much self-confidence. Every time you say you're going to stick to a calorie allowance and you don't, you feel angry at yourself. Self-loathing comes in thick and fast. I've been there. And then what you do is what I used to do, and I know so many others do the same, is you use food to comfort yourself, because that's all you ever go to when you're feeling sad and upset. And so you eat more food and then you feel even worse. You end up feeling fat, and I'm doing fat in quotes because fat isn't a feeling, it's a descriptive word, like feeling blue eyes. Doesn't make sense, but we say it all the time. But you end up feeling miserable, worthless, guilty, and ashamed. And you think there's something wrong with you, because why can't you think, and I'm saying the questions that I used to say to myself all the time, why can't I stick to a calorie allowance when, like, my sister can, for example? There must be something wrong with me. It must be my lack of willpower. I'm not strong enough. I'm a failure. And then you kind of like, but wait, I kind of rock the gym when I want to. I'm really successful in my career, in my job, in my business, whatever it may be for you. But why? What is it with food that I just can't I can't get a grasp of. And I actually work with a lot of women who are high achievers, and they've got most of their shit together in their life apart from this food thing, right? And you just think there's something wrong with you. You feel like you're a pig, you need to try harder, you're a failure. And then you're like, okay, I'm going to conjure up all this willpower and I'm going to start again tomorrow. And I really, really mean it this time. But you're not weak-willed. Honestly, dieting and counting calories are a fast track to low self-confidence, because you're always breaking the promises that you make with yourself. But I'll tell you a little secret. It's not so much of a secret. It's not you, it's the method that you're using. It's not you, it's the method. And any form of restriction, and I say this all the time, but it's so true, any form of restriction has an equal and opposite binge. And I'll talk about that again in a moment. But I want to give you now 7 tips to help you to stop counting calories, which then will inevitably help you to stop binging. And then you can live in freedom, which is so freaking amazing. I can't even describe it in words. So, are you ready? Tip number 1 is pretty obvious, but it's stop counting calorie behaviors. So stop calorie counting behaviors. And obviously, no shit, Sherlock. It's pretty obvious, but seriously, stop the behaviors of the control, the calorie counting. Delete MyFitnessPal off your phone. And I know it's scary. Delete it, get rid of it. Maybe your behaviors aren't logging it on an app. Maybe you're constantly looking at the back of packets and then like adding things up in your head and doing a rough estimate every day of how much you're eating. So what I would advise is with this is to like pink fucking elephant in your head every time that you're doing that, like, because it's so ingrained in us, we can like know the calories of most foods without even thinking about it. It's all about awareness and then just distracting yourself and changing that thought for yourself. So get rid of any fitness tracker like that tells you, I mean, again, it's a personal choice. I sold my Fitbit and it's the best thing I've ever done, and I treated myself to a massage, because what I was doing is looking at my Fitbit, and then because I'm an overachiever and I hadn't done 20,000 steps each day, I was going up and down the steps at the end of each day to try and get it to 20,000, which is just, it's not normal behavior, and it was actually controlling my life, and I was obsessed with the calories I'd burn. So if that's you and you feel like you're a slave to your Fitbit, get rid of that as well. And if you've been consuming my content for a while, thank you. And you also know that I'm all about getting to the root cause of why you're wanting to count calories in the first place. Why do you want this control and obsession with calorie counting? So the deep work, getting to the root cause of everything, it's like peeling an onion, and there's a lot of layers to it. And obviously when we get to the root cause, everything in your world changes because you go into the root of it. But with this especially, and this is what I teach in my coaching programs as well, we do the deep work as well as the surface area work, which gets results straight away. So brownie points for working on the inner stuff and the outer stuff, and brownies, oh, yummy. So yeah, kudos to you for doing that, and kudos for you for listening and being here today. I appreciate you and I love you. So give yourself compassion. You know, so when you're deleting these things off your phone, it can be really scary. Give yourself compassion. Know that you're doing it. So become aware of what you are tracking or what you're counting in your head, and say to yourself something like, okay, I don't need to be doing this right now. I choose recovery and freedom over control and imprisonment. So I choose recovery and freedom over control and imprisonment. And the more you keep doing that, it's all about making a conscious, intentional decision to stop calorie counting behaviors, because they're not serving you. Like I've already gone through it above, we don't stick to the calories anyway, just makes us feel like a failure, and we just become obsessed. So it's scary, I get it. Like if you've been controlling for a long time, it can feel like you can't stop, because then how will you know what to eat and when to eat without, you know, an app telling you or a diet plan telling you? And I've been there, like the fear is paralyzing. It can be paralyzing, but when you think you're going to stop tracking and then you're just going to eat forever and basically just get bigger and bigger and bigger, and all the worst things in the world are going to happen to you. That won't happen. I know you think it will happen, but it won't happen, especially if you make the mindset shifts and do everything that I teach you in my content. Like, I've got so much content, like dive into that. If you want to do it DIY, there's everything there that you need to overcome all of this. Or of course, we can work together one-to-one or in a group environment. Just get in touch with me and I can go through, well, first of all, I want to get to know you first, and then I can tell you how I can help you. But you can absolutely be free, I promise you that. And it's time to stop relying on anything out there to tell you what you can or can't eat and how much and when. And you're being controlled by the calorie counting app. And control equals the opposite to freedom. So you're not actually in control, you're being controlled. And you can do this. So that tip number 1 was stop the calorie counting behaviors. Tip number 2 is listen to your body instead. So many experts say that calories are the holy grail to weight loss. And I'm not saying that calories don't count, but you don't need to be counting calories, period. Right? Imagine if, right, just imagine with me for now, if you could get your hands on some kind of machine that was built for optimal health, and it knew exactly what you as an individual needed to eat and what to eat and when to stop eating without you having to count a single calorie. Just imagine that for a moment. And you actually already have that machine, and it's called your body, even though we're not machines. I'm not playing with you here. If we needed to count calories, don't you think we would have a built-in calorie counter when we was born that had a number stored somewhere, and depending on how much we burnt and how much we ate, the number would change so we knew exactly how much to eat? When you were a child, did you ask your mom how many calories were in this food before eating it? Or did you just, feel your hunger, go and tell your mom or parents or guardian that you were hungry and hope that they would give you something to eat? Right? Didn't you just then eat until you'd had enough without over-analysing anything? Or did your parents maybe accidentally or intentionally, without wanting to do you any harm, early on teach you to ignore your body and finish everything on your plate before you're allowed to leave the table? They don't do that on purpose. It's what they've been taught, but that's also teaching you at such a young age how to ignore your body. Even things like I used to go and say to my mom after school, like, Mom, I'm hungry. And then it would, the answer would be like, oh, you need to wait for your dinner, so you'll be hungry for your dinner. And of course I can see the logic in that, but actually that's just teaching me that when I'm hungry, then not to allow myself to eat even something small to curb my hunger. So it's a lot of it's happened like a very early on, but it just really helps to become aware. But the point I'm making is your body knows exactly what she needs and how much. Your built-in calorie counter is called your hunger and fullness cues. Honestly, the human body is incredible. It's marvelous. It's miraculous. It's the most amazing thing on this planet, and no one, not even like the top scientists, they don't even understand everything about our minds, our brains, our bodies. It's so complex, and it just does it all by itself. It's incredible. And your body has all the wisdom that you're ever gonna need, and everything is already inside of you. Even questions that, yes, intelligently you probably need to, if you want to learn how to be a brain surgeon, you have to learn how to do it. That's not inside of you already. But anything, any decisions you want to make about anything in life, you kind of already know the answer in here. You just need to get quiet enough to listen. So are you ready to, make friends with your body? Because your body has been waiting your whole life for you to become friends and start building that relationship up with your body again. So get rid of any diet plan or calorie counting app and start practice tuning into your body. So we can practice together now. Okay, so close your eyes and put your hand on your heart and just take 5 slow, deep breaths. In through the nose. That's 1. That's 2. Just allow yourself to relax. That's 3. So we've got 2 more. And last one. Okay, good. And now just connect with your body, connect inwards, whatever that means to you. And just ask yourself, what do I need right now? And just see what comes up. Maybe you need to sleep, maybe you need to rest, maybe you need to exercise, maybe you need to eat. Whatever that is, just pay attention. And if nothing comes up for you, then that's fine. No worries, you're not supposed to know right now. And if you're hungry or you want to eat, then check in with your body and ask her, like, okay, what do you want to eat? And then something will come to you. So just imagine eating maybe a few different options that have come to you now. And just imagine eating a thing, like, I don't know, maybe it's cereal, or maybe it's a sandwich or some toast or whatever. Just tune into, like, imagine eating each of those things and then make a decision on what you're going to eat. And that's it, right? So I would really, really, really recommend you do that at least 5 times a day. And that's how you practice just building the relationship with your body. Like imagine like your body, because you're building a relationship with her, in a relationship with another person. Can you imagine being in a loving relationship and then just saying to the person, well, I don't want to listen to you, I don't care what you want? No. Like, how is that relationship gonna go down? Are they going to feel respected and loved and heard? It's the same as your body. Even with things like looking in the mirror, how can you be in a relationship with someone and then be like, I don't want to look at you, you're disgusting? Like, build that relationship up with yourself. And that was tip number 2. Okay, tip number 3 is eat mindfully. And again, this isn't like a rule or something you have to do, but eating is a pleasure, so we may as well enjoy it, right? So when you eat, practice not doing anything else. Give food your full attention. So like savor it, smell it, really, really tune in to what's going on, like the taste explosions, or maybe they're not taste explosions, but just notice, because why wouldn't you want to do this? Often the women I work with, and I used to do this all the time, I used to think about food all the bloody time. And then when I did eat, it was like quite fast, or I wasn't really paying attention, and I'd just be thinking about what I could then eat next. So we may as well enjoy the experience, savor it. Even if you're watching TV and you want to eat popcorn, or you're watching a movie, because let's be honest, a movie is always better, especially if you go to the cinema, which we can't do right now, but I'm so excited when we can. I always have popcorn at the cinema, and it just kind of makes the experience better. Like, we don't have to have it, but we've been conditioned that way. And I'm fine being conditioned with having popcorn watching a movie. But even when you're watching a movie and you're eating popcorn, you can still be consciously aware. Part of you can be consciously aware of what you're actually eating and how much. Because if you're anything like my other half, he literally almost uses his hand like a shovel, which is fine, but shoves it all in, and then by the time he doesn't even realize he's at the end of the tub. Whereas I like take one little bit at a time, and then sometimes I take a few bits, like whatever. There's no rule in how you can eat your frigging popcorn, but just notice like what you're eating and enjoy it. So that was a short and sweet one, number 3, to eat mindfully. And tip number 4, this is a really, really huge one. Focus on well-being instead of calories. So focus on your well-being instead of your calories. So I'm sure you've managed to stay within your calories before, having only eaten processed foods such as diet products, or like standard processed foods such as cookies, chocolate, whatever, but you've managed to stay within your calories. But that matrix, focusing only on calories, isn't good for your health. So instead of, and again, health doesn't have to be a value of yours. It tends to be a value for many people because we all want to feel good, but if we focus instead on nourishing ourselves instead of how many calories we're eating, if we focus on creating a balance between mental, physical, and emotional health, then that's where the magic happens. That's where we start to feel amazing and fit and healthy and vibrant, because we're focusing on our well-being and not just the calories. So put your energy and efforts into like a holistic approach to your lifestyle, and then you'll feel happy and free and peaceful and all the good things. So most of us want to stay healthy. When most of us say, let's take January the 1st as an example, that they're going on a health kick or whatever it may be. And most of us say, I want to be healthy. Okay. But then we say that, but then we go about counting calories and dieting, restricting ourselves from what our bodies actually need or want. And then we end up binging on high fat, high sugar processed foods anyway. So do you really want to be healthy, or do you really just want to lose weight? And honestly, when we focus on health, weight loss is usually a side product. I don't like to, advertise the fact that I'm a weight loss coach, because I'm absolutely not. And I don't promise weight loss with clients that work with me. Often though, it is a side effect of the work we do together. But that, we work on not making weight loss the most important thing in the world, and then automatically that kind of happens naturally anyway. It's so crazy how it works. But taking care of ourselves, honestly, it can be really difficult for some of us, because it can feel really alien to us. We may have grown up, watching our parents and guardians not taking care of themselves, and then we pick up on that and we play out the same behaviors what our parents have done. So maybe you're saying yes to things that you don't really want to do, but you kind of feel like you need to because you're a people pleaser. Or maybe you're just always eating your emotions instead of, processing them in a different way, because all you've ever known is to eat when anything goes wrong, or even just to eat when you're really happy because it makes you feel happier. Like, I've been there, 100% been there. I so get it. Or maybe you never allow yourself to rest. Maybe you're on the go all the time, and even though you're tired, and again, I've been there, I used to either eat something or just tell myself to get on with it. Maybe you're exercising too much and you need a rest, or maybe you're not exercising enough and your body could do with some movement. So the point I'm getting to is our lifestyle, well-being, has such a huge effect on our eating behaviors and the way we feel about ourselves. So that was a really important one. So tip number 5 is similar to tip number 4, but a little bit different, is allow variety to create the balance that you want. This is super important. So allowing a variety of foods is the key to food freedom. Because let's be honest, it's unlikely you're going to feel amazing if you're going to just be eating your trigger foods or processed foods all day, every day. It's the same the other way around. If you're only allowing yourself to eat fruits and vegetables with no fun foods, then it's likely you'll feel deprived and restricted. Excuse me, did a little burp. And when we feel restricted, we're not allowing ourselves to have something that brings us pleasure, which is why you're in this position you're in, because it's no doubt the restriction that you've been on is causing you to binge, and then you end up in that diet binge cycle. And restriction, by the way, is okay. So the definition of restriction is not allowing ourselves to have something that brings us pleasure. So if you get no pleasure from something, you won't feel deprived because you have no desire to have it. Does that make sense? So take alcohol, for example. I don't drink because I don't like the taste of alcohol. So when I say to people, no, thank you, when they're like, I don't know, Christmas, New Year's, whenever, when I used to go out and dance, like, do you want a drink? And I'm like, no, thank you. And they're like, oh, literally look at me like I'm an alien or something. It's not like I'm like a health freak. I just have no desire whatsoever to drink because I hate the taste of alcohol, because I never got past that point where, when you're younger and you try alcohol for the first time, a lot of people are like, oh my God, that's disgusting. Yeah, I was like, that's disgusting, I'm just not doing it. I never kind of forced myself to like it, which I'm so grateful at myself for without realizing it. But the point I'm getting at is, if someone really loves to eat fruits and vegetables and doesn't desire to have chocolate, for example, they're not going to feel deprived when they don't have the chocolate because they have no desire for it. Can you see that? I think this is really important to bring up, because like my other half, for example, Wouter, he likes chocolate, but he's just like, take it or leave it. Same with me with crisps and cheese. I'm like, if it's there, I'll probably have some, but I'm not bothered about it at all. And isn't it funny how, like, for me, I love chocolate, and I don't want to live my life without chocolate because it brings me so much pleasure. And so if I don't have it, I can feel deprived, whereas Wouter just doesn't really care. So you only feel deprived if you desire something. So that's just to help clarify maybe something going on in your mind, like, okay, so why does Sally down the road not eat the way I eat? Probably because she hasn't got the desire for it, or she's being restricted and she's like actually got disordered eating. But anyway, that's another topic altogether. But the point is, dieting is not an action, it is a state of mind. Dieting is not an action, it's a state of mind. So allowing yourself, going back to this tip about variety to find balance, if you allow yourself to eat a variety of different foods, can't get my words out, what often happens is when people come to me, or people who I've just done research with, and me myself included did this, when you decide, okay, I'm not going to diet anymore, I'm just going to have food freedom, what we tend to do is then only eat our trigger foods, our old binge foods, but we're forgetting there's a variety of foods like, I don't know, cheese toasties or cheese and beans on toast, or I don't know where the toast obsession is randomly coming from, or like a panini. Okay, let's get away from the bread, Vic. A cheesy omelette, you get the gist. Like, there's not diet food or your binge food, there's everything else in between. And we often forget about that. So 99.9% of humans want to feel good, and you're only going to feel good if you're nourishing your mind, body, and soul. So just, work on creating that balance by giving yourself the permission to eat a variety of food and find that balance for yourself. All right, number 6 is self-compassion. You knew this would be in here, right? If you know me, give yourself a break. This food freedom malarkey won't happen overnight, and I'm sorry to say it won't. It can happen very quickly, but it won't happen overnight. So it's likely you've been disconnected from your body for a long time, and it's time to build that relationship back up with yourself. The foundation to anything in life, especially building a loving relationship with yourself, is self-compassion. So if you've deleted MyFitnessPal, if you haven't, you're going to do it after you've listened or watched this, and let me know. Oh my gosh, please let me know if you actually do this. So if you're watching this, listening to this, and you've listened to my advice from the wise owl that I am, and you've deleted your app, please send me a DM or post it on a story and tag me. I would actually love to know so I can celebrate you. But if you deleted MyFitnessPal, and if you've noticed that you're, calorie counting in your head, for example, give yourself compassion, because that's okay. You've done it for so long. So just get clear on what's happening, stop, give yourself compassion, and then choose to, start a new belief. And start to say to yourself every time something like, listening to my body to know what to eat is safe for me. Listening to my body to know what to eat is safe for me, and create that feeling of safety in your body, because there's a lot to this. Like, it's not just mental work and mindset. There's a lot of emotional processing we need to do around food in our bodies, and there's all this yummy, juicy stuff that we get to the root cause of everything, which brings me on to my last tip, almost. But the way we speak to ourselves, going back to self-compassion, do you speak to yourself the way you speak to someone that you love very much? And if you don't, then why not? The way the thought model works, right? The thought model, the way you think, creates your whole entire life. And just a short abbreviation of this, the way you think causes you to feel a certain way. The way you feel causes you to take an action or not to take an action. And then depending on what action you've taken or what action you've not taken, creates the results or lack of results in your life, and then therefore that's your reality. So the thoughts are so powerful. Thoughts are things. So stop being a bitch to yourself. You deserve to be spoken to with love and compassion, even by yourself, especially by yourself. Okay, so it leads me on to the last tip, which is the most important one of all, best till last. Tip number 7, get to the root cause. So why are you focused on counting calories? What beliefs do you identify with that cause you to feel like you need to count calories, you need to control? Maybe it's because you think if you don't restrict, then you'll gain weight forevermore because you won't ever know when to stop eating. Or maybe it's because you feel like you need to control something in your life. And because everything else is out of control, you need to control something. That's what happened to me when I became anorexic. I just needed to think I was controlling something, and it just went too far. Maybe you don't trust yourself to eat with your intuition, and so you feel like you need something out there to tell you what to do, to tell you what to eat and how much. Or maybe it's just because you're scared shitless of gaining weight or the possibility of gaining weight, and so you're going to do everything and anything to keep yourself as small as possible. Okay, I have some questions for you. And I would love you to journal about these. If you want to take this seriously, I really recommend you take the time to re-listen to this and journal these questions. Okay, are you ready? Why do you see weight loss as a sense of safety? Do you think people won't love and accept you if you didn't lose weight or if you put on weight? Do you think you're not worthy if you're bigger than you want to be? Do you think you will reject yourself even more than you do already if you put on weight? Do you think that everyone else will judge you and reject your body the same way you judge and reject yourself? That is fucking key. Let me ask that question again. Do you think that everyone else will judge you and reject your body the same way you judge and reject it? Are these thoughts and beliefs true? Definitely go and listen to my podcast on the truth about people judging you if you haven't already, because there's so much to say on this. And after that episode, you're just going to feel so much freer in the realm of people judging you. I promise you that. But start looking for counter evidence for those limiting beliefs. So whatever limiting beliefs you have around your body and diet and all these things, start to look for counter evidence. So become your own solicitor or lawyer or whatever the right terminology is to use. So would you ditch your best friend or your partner if they put on weight, or if they didn't lose weight, or if they didn't have abs, or whatever it is that you feel like you need to be? Do you choose to hang out with people just because they look a certain way? And if you do any of these things, then get curious. Where did you learn that? Gaining weight, honestly, it isn't the end of the world. Oh my gosh, even though I'm sure as hell it can feel like it. Like, I was paralyzed at the thought of putting weight on. Like, I can't even tell you the anxiety, the fear, the paralyzedness, that's a word, making it up, that I felt about potential weight gain and actual weight gain. Just felt like I would rather die or something. That's how bad it was. But honestly, freedom in your body and around food is so possible to you. A big thing that really helps me is looking at women your size or bigger on social media on purpose. There's so many beautiful women out there with all different shapes and sizes. Go and look at them on purpose, and you are beautiful just as you are. Even if you can't see it, if you look for the beauty in others, then you'll find the beauty in yourself, especially if you do the inner work that I teach. Okay, and there really is way too much about this tip number 7 about find the root cause. There's way too much to say here. There's way too much to write on a blog. Sometimes we need to go back and do inner child work. We need to do release work, kind of hypnotherapy type meditation work. There's a lot, a past trauma. And when I say trauma doesn't have to mean like a traumatic episode as in like you've really died. It can be diet related trauma, like you've watched someone be ridiculed because of their weight or anything like that. That's trauma, honestly, and it can affect us. It does affect us so much, and it actually encourages us to replay the stories that we tell ourselves, the needing to count calories, the way we feel about our bodies and ourselves. It's crazy how much of an effect it has on us. All right, so there are my 7 tips. Let me check. Let me see if I've got any comments. Bear with. Oh, we've got, a few. Hey, beautiful. There's 2 people watching still. If you've got any questions, please pop them in now before I say goodbye. Oh, we've got 17 comments. Okay. I'm just going to check these. If I've not seen them and I feel like I can help you, I'm going to send you a voice note from the comments on Facebook. So thank you so much for watching. Thank you for being here. I love you all so much. I really do. I appreciate each and every one of you. I don't want you to be stuck in diet and food prison, because when you're free, like, oh, your whole life is different. So, you know, I have a free Facebook group I would love to invite you to if you're struggling with food and body. It's called Food and Body Freedom Queendom. A bit long, I know, but just DM me, or I'll put the link under here. I'd love to have you in there. It's all free. You get access to me, give you loads of value, and just so much love as well. So enjoy your weekend, enjoy your Friday. Love you all so much. Mwah.